Hello everyone, I welcome you all again. So in the previous sessions, what we have discussed so far, we've discussed about chemical reactions. We have discussed about what all are the observable changes that you can see when a chemical reaction takes place. We have also talked about the other half of the chapter of class 10th, which is chemical equations. We have discussed how you can, why there is a need to write a chemical equation. We have also discussed about how you can write the chemical equation, and there are simple three steps that you need to follow in it. That is, you need to write the symbols of the elements and the compounds that are taking part in a chemical reaction. You are going to actually write the states, the physical states in which the element and compounds exist. And the third and the very important step that you need to do is you need to balance the chemical equations. So this is what we have discussed so far. But today what we are going to discuss is how you can write the formulas of the compounds. So a lot of students actually what they do a major mistake while writing any chemical equation is they do not know, and they are not aware of how you can write the formula of the compounds. So this is one thing that you need to master, because the first step is writing the symbols of the compounds, right? So if you cannot write the symbols, your balancing will become disturbed. And if the formula of the compound is not right, then of course the balancing will also be not right. So your marks will be cut short in that. So first, we will discuss how you can write the formula of the compounds, and then we will discuss about the five types of chemical reactions. There are five major type of chemical reactions, but here in this session, we are going to discuss only about the combination reaction. The rest four, so what we will learn today, first thing that we are going to learn is to write the chemical formula of the compounds that we have just discussed. We will also talk about the different types of chemical reactions, which are very important, because there is a practical examination and the practical exercise in your laboratories that you need to do, that you need to differentiate between different types of chemical reactions. That is why this topic is very important, and I will tell you how you can differentiate between different chemical reactions. And we will do a detailed explanation on the first type of a chemical reaction, which is combination reaction. And we will also do certain solutions of the NCERT questions, which are actually given, which is related to combination reaction. So let's start with the first thing first. That is, when you are going to write the chemical formula of the compound, you should be very much aware about the cations and the anions that are present in that particular compound. Okay. So why? Because these cations, which are positive species, cations are called as positive species, which have a tendency to lose their electrons, while anions are called as negative species, and they have a tendency to gain electrons. So their charges are very important, because they will decide what kind of a formula would be and what is the formula of the compound. So because these cations and anions, they actually combine together to give the compounds, so their charges, the charge on the cation and the charge on the anion, is very much important to decide or to write the formula of the compound. So this table is very important. So I have listed certain cations which are positive ions. The sodium ion, which will release one of its electron to give me Na plus charge, would be there, plus one charge. So plus charge means it is plus one charge. One is not written here, it is by default, it is there. So plus charge means it is plus one charge. Potassium again has plus one charge, and calcium has 2 plus charge. Okay. So magnesium has Mg2 plus charge, aluminium has Al3 plus charge, silver has Ag plus charge. Now copper is written, or it exists in two forms, cuprous and cupric. If your copper is in the cuprous form, it is Cu plus, and if your copper is in the cupric form, it is Cu2 plus. Iron also exists in its two states, ferrous and ferric. Ferrous is Fe2 plus and ferric is Fe3 plus. So depending upon which cation is actually combining with the anion, you will certainly get to know whether your copper, if let's say copper is combining with the iodide ion, so copper combining with iodide, so depending upon what is the formula I will just tell you what is the formula. You will get to know that whether your copper is in the cuprous form or it is in the cupric form. So formula tells you in which form the copper exists or in which form the iron exists, depending upon what is the chemical formula. So these are the list of certain cations. All the metals generally are cations because they have a tendency to lose their electrons. So they become cations. All the non-metals have a tendency to gain electrons. They become anions. And this is the list of certain anions that I have written. You need to memorize this table by heart. So chloride, Cl -1 charge it has. Bromide also has -1 charge. Iodide has -1 charge. Fluoride has -1 charge. Oxide has 2 minus charge ahead on it. Nitride has N3 minus charge. Sulfide has S2 minus charge. Now there is a third category of ions that are also present, which is called as polyatomic ions. Polyatomic means many atoms. So in polyatomic ions, there are two different atoms. They actually combine to give the ions. So for example, in ammonium ion, there are two different types of atoms, nitrogen atom and hydrogen atom. So they have combined to give an ionic. Ion means some charge. Either it can be positive or a negative charge, right? So ion, this is a polyatomic ion. Why? Because two different atoms have combined together. So polyatomic ion. Ammonium ion NH4 plus, sulfite ion SO3 2 minus, sulfate ion SO4 2 minus, nitrite NO2 minus, and nitrate is NO3 minus 1 charge. Phosphate PO4 3 minus, and hydroxide is OH minus 1. So please memorize this table by heart. This will help you in writing chemical formulas. And how you can write the chemical formula? For example, we need to write the chemical formula of magnesium nitrate. Magnesium nitrate's chemical formula we need to write. Now what I will do, magnesium, we all know it. So magnesium nitrate is basically formed by combination of magnesium ion, which is positive ion, and nitrate ion, which is negative ion, which is polyatomic ion, which is in the negative species. Charge is negative. So a positive charge species reacts with a negative charge species to give me a compound magnesium nitrate. So what we will do is, we are going to write the symbol of magnesium. Symbol of magnesium with its charge. Okay, so symbol of magnesium is Mg. With charge it will have a 2 plus charge. We have just discussed in the table. Nitrate is a polyatomic ion, and nitrate is written as NO3 minus 1, right? Minus 1 charge. Okay, now this is what we will do first. Then what we will do, the numeric value of the charge. Okay, here it is -1, here it is 2 plus. So the numeric value of on the magnesium is 2, and the numeric value on NO3 above that is 1. Okay, so the numeric value you need to exchange it. So 2 would go, the magnesium's 2 numeric charge value will go under nitrate. Okay, and the -1 charge, that is 1 numeric value of nitrate, will go under magnesium. So the formula becomes Mg bracket NO3 twice. Okay, so why this is written like that? Because 1 is here by default. Please remember, we do not write 1. This is obvious, right? So what you have done is, you just have interchanged the numeric values of the charges on the cation and the anion, and you have written the formula. And this bracket, please remember, this or bracket will always be seen if your cation or the anion, anything is more than 2. So if your anions are more than 1, sorry, if your anions are more than 1, so this will be a bracket has to come, and then you are going to write 2. So nitrates, since it is 2, so you put a bracket and you will write 2 down. So you just need to exchange the numeric value of the charges. This is how the formula would be written. For example, I have potassium sulfate. I need to write the formula of potassium sulfate. So we know potassium, the charge was +1. Sulfate, again polyatomic ion, has a charge 2 minus, SO4 2 minus, right? It is written like that. Now just exchange the numeric value of the charges. So 1 will go down under sulfate, and 2 will go under potassium. So it would be, the formula would be K2SO4. Okay, since there is only one atom, I mean, the one type of an atom is only present, so we do not write the bracket, do not denote it by the bracket, because only one type of atom is there. Here there were two different types of atoms, that is why we have put a bracket. Okay, so the formula would be K2SO4. If I want to write the formula of aluminium chloride, let's say. So aluminium, the charge was 3 plus. Chloride has a charge -1. Just exchange the numeric value of the charges. 1 will go here, 3 will go under chlorine. So the formula would be AlCl3. So these are all the formulas you need to practice, and the answers are given to you for your convenience. Okay, so this is how you can write the formula of the compound. Now let's come to the another very important part regarding your which is related to your CBSE examinations, Olympiad examinations, and also your practical examinations, is to differentiate between the types of chemical reactions, or what are the different types of chemical reactions. And there are 5 types of chemical reactions, and here whenever a chemical reaction takes place, wherever a chemical reaction is going to occur, then 2 or more atoms, they are involved in the bond breaking and bond making. So basically what happens whenever a chemical reaction is taking place, the reactants molecules or atoms, they actually break their bonds, and then they make new bonds to give us the products, which are the new substances that are formed, called as products. So in a chemical reaction, 2 or more atoms, they start breaking their bonds, and then the reaction moves further. They start again making their bonds, and they give us a new substance. A new product is formed by bond making. So this is what happens in any chemical reaction. There are majorly 5 types of a chemical reaction, and the first type of a chemical reaction is combination reaction. Combination, that is, something is combining. Okay, something is getting added up. So in combination reaction, 2 or more substances, or we say here reactants, they combine to give product or products. Generally one product is formed, generally. So in a combination reaction, 2 or more reactants, they combine to give product. So these are the examples of a combination reaction. For example, I take a test tube and I add calcium oxide, a spatula of calcium oxide. This year you are going to do this particular example in your laboratories as well. So you add quicklime. Calcium oxide is also called as quicklime. Okay. So calcium oxide, a spatula of calcium oxide is added in the test tube. To that you add some amount of water. Okay. So let's say 2-3 ml of water, 4 ml of water maximum, not much. So when you add water, shake it thoroughly. When you shake it, a combination reaction will occur between calcium oxide and water to give me what is called as calcium hydroxide, CaOH twice, which is also called as slaked lime. Okay, quicklime is called as calcium oxide, slaked lime is called as calcium hydroxide. Okay, so calcium oxide and water, they combine together to give me calcium hydroxide or slaked lime. So this is an example of combination reaction. So the teacher is going to ask you what kind of a reaction you are doing when you are adding calcium oxide and water and you are getting calcium hydroxide. It's a combination reaction. Some 2 reactants are combining or getting added up. Now another very important thing is that your enthalpy is, which we will do in the higher classes, what enthalpy is, but some amount of heat is actually released when such combination reactions takes place. So whenever the combination reaction takes place, some amount of heat is always released, and whenever the energy or the heat is released, we say that it is an exothermic reaction. So what are exothermic reactions? Exothermic reactions are the reactions in which energy is released or produced in the form of heat. Okay, so whenever the reactions in which energy is released or produced in the form of heat are called exothermic reaction, and this reaction, with this example, is nothing but an example of exothermic reaction. And the enthalpy, this is the symbol of enthalpy, delta H. the enthalpy is negative in sign. For exothermic reactions, the enthalpy change delta H, which we will do what is this delta H in the higher classes. But please remember that the change in the energy, the change in the heat, when from initial to final state, the change of the heat would be in the sign would be negative. Okay, so large amount of heat is released when a combination reaction is done. Okay, so enthalpy is negative, reaction is exothermic. Another example of a combination reaction is when carbon reacts with oxygen to give me carbon dioxide. Again, this is an example of combination reaction. So in combination reaction, please, just by looking at the reaction, you can say that the reaction is combination or not, because your two reactants, they just combining to give one product. So it's a combination reaction. So questions are asked like this, that just seeing to the reaction, you have to judge whether the reaction is combination reaction or not. The trick is just that whenever you see that in the reaction two reactants are there which are giving you one single product, then it is a combination reaction. Again, H2 reacts with O2 to give me 2H2O. Again, it's an example. Now the question is asked very frequently that how can you say that respiration is an exothermic process? How you can say that whenever we are respiring, this process is exothermic, or there is a release of energy during that process. So this can be actually justified. Actually, what happens is, the answer to this question is that what happens that when you eat food, the food, whatever you are eating, contains wheat, bread, sugar, rice, it contains some carbohydrates, okay, which we represent as glucose, C6H12O6. So whatever food you are taking in, that food contains some carbohydrates. Now, what you do during when you are eating also, you are actually respiring. When you are not eating also, you are respiring. You are respiring continuously. When you respire, so what you do is you inhale oxygen and you exhale carbon dioxide. So the food that you have taken containing these carbohydrates, they actually react with the oxygen in your body, right? And this gives you carbon dioxide and water, right? And this carbon dioxide is exhaled out in return, and it also gives you energy. That is why you are able to work throughout the day when you eat food, right? So this also gives you energy, and whenever there is a release of energy, okay, we say the process is exothermic in nature. So what you are doing is, since the energy is getting produced by the respiration process, wherein the oxygen that you are inhaling reacts with the carbohydrates in your body to give carbon dioxide and water, and a large amount of energy is released that enables you to work throughout the day. So this, since and there is a release in energy, the process of respiration is an exothermic process. So this is the answer to this question. Another very important thing which is asked very frequently is that what happens, this you can see anywhere in the construction site. If you go to a construction site, what happens is, if whitewashing is actually happening. So this is, please, very important topic that I am discussing. So when the whitewashes happen, then what happens is that the person who is going to do the whitewash, he will bring a packet of calcium oxide, or you say quicklime, right? He will bring a packet of quicklime or calcium oxide, and he will dissolve that packet in larger amount of water. He'll mix, he will put it in a vessel. The packet will be emptied in a vessel, and he will add water to it, and he will make a mixture. When he adds water to it, you'll see there would be you would find certain bubbles coming out. That's nothing but increase in temperature. You will see it would be little heat would be there, any which ways. Now what will happen is that the calcium oxide, the quicklime, it has reacted with water to give me what is called as calcium hydroxide or slaked lime combination reaction, right? Then what is going to happen, he is going to put this calcium hydroxide thus formed onto the walls of your room or your house. Now after some time, what is going to happen, that this calcium hydroxide, the slaked lime, it will react with atmospheric carbon dioxide, okay, and it will give me what will it will form, it will form calcium carbonate and water. The calcium carbonate which is formed by the reaction of calcium hydroxide with the atmospheric carbon dioxide, This actually provides a shiny finish to the walls and ceilings. That is why you see, why after you whitewash, you'll see that there is a shyness in the on the walls and the ceilings, and this is only because that the calcium hydroxide has reacted with the atmospheric carbon dioxide to give me calcium carbonate, which provides a shiny finish to these walls and ceilings. So this is very important question which is asked in many Olympiad examinations. So this is all for today that we are going to discuss. We discussed about how you can write the formulas, chemical formulas of the compounds, and we have also discussed about enough about combination reactions and related NCERT questions we have just discussed. So we'll do the rest of the part in the next session. I'll see you in the next session. Thank you.